5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I will just request you guys to, if you can, just lend me your hand and your leg, basically your mobile phone. If you can put it aside, and for next 60 minutes, if you can just be 100% focused here, give your 100% attention to this session, that will be really, really grateful. All right. So since Lindsey was the first person to come on the show, let me introduce her first. She is doing some fabulous work. She is the founder and CEO of a company called Plaine Products, primarily into natural beauty and personal care products. You must go to her website. I was browsing through her website. She has recently launched some non-scented, unscented shampoos and conditioners and a lot of other fancy stuff, which is primarily natural, and she is focusing a lot on personal care products and beauty care products. So she's a master. She's got a master's degree, uh, which is focused on environmental affairs, non-profit management from Indiana University. She has a history of working in sustainable consumer business, and she also has worked in non-profit organizations and has been managing sales and management and leadership and planning in a lot of organizations in the past. Lindsey, thank you so much for coming over. We would like to understand the secret of your beauty, your glowing skin, your beaming all the way to the screen. So I'm sure you're using your product. So thank you so much for coming over. We'll talk more in the session with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. The thing about us that makes us a little bit different, and I think differentiation is important, especially in this day and age, is that we reuse our containers. So all of our personal care products are sold in aluminum bottles, and it comes along with a pump. And then when you're running low, you order a refill, and we send a refill bottle out to you. You switch the pump over. Along with that refill comes a return label, and we bring the bottles back for free, and we wash, refill, and reuse them. So we're doing,
Fabulous.
combat single-use plastic. So I think, that's, while it is a great product, there are a lot of great products out there, and that's what helps differentiate us from the others. And that's, I think, the key to success in today's market. There's just so much going on. Having a mission and having something a little bit different has been incredibly helpful to us.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Thank you so much for coming over. Mark, you were second on the panel. Let me introduce you now. So Mark is a fabulous guy. He has a very strong why. Um, he runs a business called Crazy Socks, John's Crazy Socks. So John is basically his son, who's again a fantastic guy, very young. So Mark is an advocate of rights for differently abled people. His son is also extremely talented and is a partner in the business, and they make very fancy socks for a lot of people. He has spent a lot of his career for taking care of differently abled people. Half of his team is also differently abled, and is doing a massive amount of work for people of different ability. So Mark also led the New York Medicaid Health Services. He also served as a COO of the healthcare management technology companies. He also has a master's in public policy and management, and he has done his education from Harvard Kennedy School. Mark, you're doing fabulous work. We look forward to listening your views and your points, and listening to your why in the talk today. Thank you so much for coming over.
We're glad to be here.
Thank you very much.
We're like Lindsey. You got to have that why. You got to have that mission. You got to have your values. For us, we're spreading happiness, and we do it by showing what people with different abilities can do. We do it by giving back. We do it by making personal connections with our customers. And part of our story is John, who you mentioned is my son. John's not only an entrepreneur, but John has Down syndrome. And it was his idea to start this business. So every day he's out there showing here's what's possible. So we're glad to be here.
Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful. kudos to you and John. It would have been fun if you also get John along with you if he's nearby to you. You can.
Yeah, John is actually, he's off because he's on a different call this morning. But John is a busy young man. I used to say that James Brown was the hardest working man in show business. I think John is the hardest working man in sockdom.
Wonderful. How old is John, by the way, now?
John's 25.
Okay.
And he's, I mean, Lindsey already mentioned, you've got to be able to differentiate. You got to have that mission and purpose. And it's clearly what we have, right? We've created a social enterprise where we have both a social mission and a business mission, and they're indivisible. And in many ways, we're not really a sock company. We're a content company pursuing a mission, and the socks and the other items we sell become the physical manifestation of that story. You know, we love to hear from our customers. You know, I heard a woman telling me yesterday at a meeting, she says, I put your socks on and they just make me smile. And that's more than just a product. It's the way you imbue them with meaning, and it's the experience you give to a customer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you very much. Meghan, over to you. So Meghan is again a very talented woman. She is the founder and CEO of FOUNDERMADE. I was watching her talk. She's all over the place, from news, from TV shows to CNN to Fox Business News. She's also a Bachelor of Science from University of South California and MBA from Columbia Business School. She helps businesses like consumer goods businesses come online and helps them sell more, sell better. She helps them. She mentors businesses who want to launch products in terms of funding, in terms of mentoring and launching their products on different and helping them launch their products in the market. But I would like to understand more from you, Meghan. Perhaps I'm not doing justice to what you do. So if you can explain a bit about what exactly do you do for our audiences?
That's great. So FOUNDERMADE, our whole mission, and I love that. It's like, what do you exactly do? Our whole mission is to help business entrepreneurs build. That's our whole like, if there's like a thing, my dad, he came from India with a backpack and nothing else. Started a tech company, and I watched him for 25 years go from his dad's company going public, then he got, pushed out. And so you watch the entrepreneur journey. And to me, what we did is we created we've created a platform to help entrepreneurs build. And through that, we have, and trade show, we have a wholesale marketplace where we connect brands and retailers. We do some investments. So it's really an ecosystem to just help brands build and help them, and help educate them. So, we also are doing, direct to consumer type of education, for our brands that are now going through the COVID-19 experience and helping them diversify their revenue streams from, big box retailers to online. So that's kind of, but what I love about both of these entrepreneurs that are on here is I always ask entrepreneurs, I say, what is your why? That is your number one thing, because everybody has to, when you get up, I mean, it's so hard to be an entrepreneur and to, I always say, turn something that was into something that manifests something into dust, like from dust to like actually being a thing in the world. And what I love about both of you is you have this mission behind it, and you have your exact thesis. Like I know exactly what, each of you stand for, sustainability, philanthropy and this overall content and mission and telling a story. And that's something that like, I think a lot of, product companies or entrepreneurs sometimes just miss the boat on completely. And so I think that starting with your why, I love that. Starting with your why is super important.
Excellent, wonderful. So let my first question to Meghan itself. Meghan, suppose Lindsey comes to you with a business model. She's already doing a lot of fabulous products which are natural and in the business of beauty and healthcare. How can you help somebody like her?
Well, it depends on her objective, right? Her objective is basically if it's to get into retail, you know, we started off as a consumer. First, it started off as an investor conference, and then we turned our conferences into trade shows. So we did live consumer goods trade shows, and now we have a wholesale marketplace that drives transactions online. So, you know, if retail distribution's her goal, you know, we definitely have, you know, the right buyers, and, you know, have gotten people into, you know, CVS, Wegmans, Sephora, Ulta, you know, you name it, Costco. So, but that's kind of, we do buyer seller, you know, shows.
Wonderful, excellent, excellent. Uh, Lindsey, let me ask you, how have been the last 1 year for you?
You know, you hate to say it out loud, but it's been a good year for us business-wise. Being able to deliver personal care products to people's homes is really useful in a pandemic. So there were some concerns early on. Unfortunately, there was a narrative that maybe disposability was going to be an important piece of this. Happily, that was disproven, you know, that COVID is not transmitted via surface contact. And we did have some inquiries from some of our customers, but we have spent a lot of time building trust. And we sort of explained, look, our reuse process was built to kill all germs, including COVID. You know, we didn't want anybody getting the flu either. So we've been working with some other reuse companies to sort of push back against that. You know, single use is safer. You know, really the important thing is what you're using and that it's clean. And metal is a lot easier to clean than plastic, honestly, because you can heat it up, you can wash it, yeah. You know. So it is a good time to have an online delivery business, and it's been a good year for us. We've continued to expand.
Do you sell on Amazon?
We do sell some of our things on Amazon. We don't sell everything on Amazon.
Why should somebody not sell on Amazon?
Why should somebody not sell on Amazon? You know, I think what is the crazy statistic now that more than half of all internet sales are through Amazon. So we put some things on there because we wanted people to be able to find us. If you're an Amazon shopper, you're an Amazon shopper. However, we didn't put everything up there because we wanted to incentivize people to maybe come looking for us once they knew about us. If they wanted to get, you know, a different combination of things or some products that we didn't put up there, we didn't want everything that we had accessible via Amazon, because obviously we make a little bit more when they buy from us directly than paying the stiff Amazon tariffs, but it's the cost of doing business with them.
Excellent. So that's a fabulous tip for all the listeners. Because Amazon takes away a lot of your margins, and they also do not share the customer journey with you. They do not share who the customer is and anything about the customer. So for the teaser parts, have some products on Amazon, and when the clients when the customer starts knowing you, they might just come on your website, and then on your website they can see a lot many products that you sell, and they can become your permanent customer and can start coming on your website to buy your stuff. Thank you so much for that tip, Lindsey. Really appreciate that. Mark, how long have you been in the business?
We opened December of 2016, so we're just over 4 years old.
4 years old, all right. So how's the business? So are you guys funded, bootstrapped? How are things for you?
We bootstrapped. We bootstrapped to start, which was great. In 17 and then particularly 18, we saw very rapid growth. By 19, the rapid growth actually was causing us a problem because we were underfunded. I remember even at the end of 17, when we had a surprisingly good year, we did about 1.7 million in revenue. And I'm talking to my accountant and I say, okay, we did really well. We showed a profit. How come I have no money? And he said, let me take you out to your warehouse and show you your money. It's all sitting there in socks. We were the beneficiaries and very fortunate of multiple viral events, and watch what you ask for, you may get it. The viral events we saw were fabulous for growth, but they also threatened to overwhelm us. So we were beneficiaries of that and some extensive media coverage, which is great. It's hard to live on that. We fortunately, just about a year ago, found a strategic partner, much larger than us, a third generation family business that manufactures socks. And they make socks for large department stores and under brand names. They did no direct to consumer. That's all we did. So we had a good marriage there. And that's been able to give us the financial stability to be able to grow, weather some of the pandemic and to grow the business now.
Excellent, wonderful. That's a great work. Great thing happened to you. Thank you for that, Mark. Meghan, what will be your advice to people like Mark, whose inventory is killing them, is killing the cash flow? Since you're a
That's
consumer
a great.
business, yeah, how to go
Yeah,
about
I mean,
it?
that's like one of the biggest things for product companies. I mean, right now I was just thinking there's like payability, big commerce. There's like a ton of these companies that are funding inventory and funding growth for marketing for D2C companies. And they've all gotten like highly, like, $1 billion, like Big Commerce raised a crazy amount of, just did a crazy raise. But you can look into that. And I think that's way better than taking on any capital or because it really, you guys have a thriving business. You just need to fund inventory. There's a ton of these tech finance type of companies that are around that are, able to, help you fund to your next stage of growth. Yeah. So, I mean, it's very straightforward nowadays, which it wasn't before you'd have a factor, you'd have some type of, but now it's really online. There's a ton of them out there.
Wonderful. Can you repeat the names one more time, just the names?
Yeah. Payability and Big
Payability.
Commerce.
Okay. All right.
Those are two really great ones. Payability is great for, I mean, they're both great. So check them both out.
All right.
Yeah. And I think the woman who was on Shark Tank Canada or the whatever the version of Canadian Shark Tank, she's the co-founder of Big Commerce. And so her whole story is she was on, the Shark Tank like show, and all these product companies were wanting to, sell their equity. And she just kind of looked at herself. She was like, actually, as an entrepreneur, you don't need to sell your equity to fund your business if you have demand. So why don't I start this company that actually just helps people fund their inventory needs? And so she's really great, really charismatic, and is doing a great mission. They're doing a great job.
Wonderful, excellent. One more question to you. So Meghan, you said you of course look for people who have strong whys, and then you are venturing or helping them. What else do you look for before you say, yes, I will help you?
So we have our 3 benchmarks for FounderMade, like what is a FounderMade company? And we say, number 1, mission driven, because I think that's your why. Like if you don't have a mission, you're not going to go the distance to get to go through the hard times, because it's not an easy road. And then number 2 is have, significant traction. So, we say, we like to work with companies that are at least have shown traction, where they have at least like a 1.5 million in revenue, and they're on the road to being able to really scale. And then the other one is segment defining. So we say, listen, there's a ton of different types of companies out there. There was a Heinz, take Heinz ketchup, right? We never thought that Sir Kensington's ketchup, which is like a natural ketchup company, would be sold to Unilever, but these are these segment defining, where they're taking market share from these bigger CPG companies that have been there, the long standing, and I mean, you can look at Plaine products. Lindsey, your company is probably doing something like that, because it's like all of a sudden your customer is like, listen, we're ruining the planet. Do you see how many freaking Amazon boxes I have? How many plastic bottles I'm throwing away, and it's just terrible for the environment. Like, we need to do something about it. And I think that looking at what the next generation consumer is actually what they stand for and what they mean, and serving that need, is how you build the next generation business. So that's what we look for.
Excellent, wonderful.
Add on to what Meghan said. So I mentioned we have a business model that's a social enterprise. And it's saying that you have to have a mission that does more than just we want to make money. And don't get me wrong, we want to make money. John and I like to live indoors. You got to pay that rent. But you've got to have some larger purpose. And that's very important in a whole number of ways. When it comes to the consumer, increasingly consumers are asking, who are you? Why should I give you my money? I've got lots of choices. What are you going to do with my money? How do you treat your workers? How do you treat the environment? How do you engage in the community? When you have a social enterprise, you can answer those questions. It also helps in recruiting people. When the pandemic has kind of upset the labor market, but at least in the US, there's a growing shortage of labor. And people are increasingly saying, what am I doing here? Yes, I need, just like a business, I need to make money, but I want to have some impact. And a social enterprise can answer those questions for employees. Come and join us. We're chasing something big, and you're going to be part of that. So that I think what Meghan was talking about, being able to show your customers what you're about, is becoming increasingly important.
Yeah, I would just add on to that. I think what he said, you show your customers, the why. They are also then incredibly loyal, helpful, friendly, help promote you. I mean, I feel very lucky about who our customer base is. They stick around for a long time. We have a high customer lifetime value. They help promote us. They're patient with us when we make mistakes. And that matters as well, especially with the small businesses you're growing. You need a little bit of patience and loyalty to get you through. So.
Yes, excellent. Yes. Thank you so much. Megan, I think we have one question from Allison. She is asking that they make homemade dog treats by Allison, who was a young woman in the US with Down syndrome. And they say we sell online and formally at local events. We want to get into a few small stores, not chains at this point. We're still doing everything at our home. Do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, so there's there's also if you want to get into smaller retail stores, there's the old-fashioned way, which we used to all do, which is you literally find all the you pull the lists of every retail store. I had a product company before I started FOUNDERMADE, so I understand. I had a scarf company, and we would go and we would get a virtual admin to just pull every store that would sell scarves and just contact them and almost do like the email, send them samples, the whole thing. And that was 10 years ago. Now there's a ton of online wholesale marketplaces that you can literally onboard your Shopify link, and it will go through, and you can get directly to those retail to those stores. So we don't sell dog treats yet on our wholesale marketplace. We do food, beauty, and wellness, but and shelf stable food, but there are other really great marketplaces out there, like a Fair. Just look up online wholesale marketplaces. You could definitely get put yourself on, and you'll probably get a ton of traction with these smaller stores, and it's all you'll be basically doing is paying a commission fee.
And I want to add, we are creating a marketplace specifically for businesses that are owned by, led by, or focused on people with different abilities. So Awesome. We're going to create a marketplace where they can bring their markets and their products to market to an audience that's looking for that. We know Allison, and we've done projects in the past with businesses like this. We've been able to build a lot of traffic and some brand recognition, and now we want to extend that and help others bring their products to a larger audience.
Fabulous, Mark. That's a great job. Great work. More power to you. Lindsey, you have some fabulous products on your website, and you are in the business for a few years now. So there's a concept of, let's say, there's a customer. The customer comes and goes. Then there's a client. Client stays a little longer, and then there are fans, and fans love you. So how do you make your customers into your fans?
I think customer service is a big part of that. We've invested pretty heavily in bringing on early on actual people that we trained to do our customer service, and sort of their guiding mission is make them happy, make the customers happy. Whatever
How
they
do you how
need.
do you make them happy?
If there's some confusion, just do it for them. We'll place orders for them and call people and take their information, or if something's lost, we'll send them a replacement. We sort of give them the benefit of the doubt, trust them. We listen to them when people repeatedly ask for new products. That's what drives our expansion. So I think people feel very bought in and feel very heard. I respond to people, like stuff gets elevated to me. I still do customer service. So I don't know if it's from being in the nonprofit world, but we just take, we treat our customers like I would have treated donors at a nonprofit. We take them, their comments, their thoughts, their problems very seriously. We always respond within a day. So I think prioritizing customer service and prioritizing meeting the customer needs is what moves people along. And then also, of course, obviously having a mission. But I think people come to us because we have a purpose, and that's authentic. I mean, if you look at our feed, it would take you a little while maybe sometimes to figure out that we're selling stuff. We talk a lot about a lot of other issues. We talk about other companies. And I think that also helps move people along, that we are authentic in our mission, and we bring people in on that and work collaboratively with a lot of people around it.
It's lots of companies, almost every company is going to say we care about our customers, we want to be customer centric. It starts with having a real belief. You can tell, just in listening to Lindsey, that's driven through her business. You have to believe, and that may sound very soft and nebulous, but I'll give you an example, right? So our mission is we want to spread happiness. So take a customer service issue. There's the old saw that the customer is always right. Nonsense. The customer can be so wrong. But we're not in the business of being right. We're in the business of making that customer happy. And that's what we'll do. But it's got to be more than lip service. And you have to really talk about how are we doing this? So, there are examples. We answer the phone. We don't monitor the amount of time someone spends with the customer on the phone. From day one of our trademarks has been every package gets a handwritten thank you note from John and a package of candy. So we do our own fulfillment so that we can put more personalized things. But I'll give you some examples there. One, we call our packers happiness packers. And one of them comes to us and says, we're selling socks for diabetics, these medical grade socks, and we're putting candy in the packages with them. Maybe that's a little backwards. So now we have a supply of sugar-free candy that goes in the package if you order diabetic socks. We're just now rolling something out. And we work hard, we do same day shipping. So order comes in today, it's going out today. But then we sat and said, like Lindsey does, we have a very loyal customer base, and yet everybody gets the same package. So now we're dividing that up and into first time order, second time order, 3 to 5th time order, more than a 5th time. And each of those categories will get a different package so that we can pay attention to that customer. And we keep it, once you make that commitment, it will infuse everything you do, right? So John writes thank you notes and sends messages to customers it turns out it's much easier for him to shoot a thank you video than to write a note. And that sends customers over the moon. So every day he sits and does a whole bunch of thank you videos. But it all starts with, you got to have this belief, you got to have this commitment, and that has to drive you. I'll give you a last example. We have a Sock of the Month club, right? Subscriptions are very hot. It's grown, it's got a nice size. One of the challenges is that we're very much a gift business, so people give that away. You get your Sock of the Month subscription, and when it runs out, it runs out. A lot of very smart people say, oh, here's how you take care of that. You make it an automatic renewal. We've had consultants advise us. We've had experts in the field advise us. But because we're a customer company, we sit there and say, yeah, that would make us more money. But do you like that? Would you like that as a customer? So we don't do that. And it comes back to, you have to really believe, and then that will run through everything you do.
I think that's a great point. Just the point of, things that annoy you as a customer, don't do in your business.
Yeah.
Right. If so, we send out an email saying, hey, your subscription's renewing a week out. And sometimes still the day of, people are like, oh, I don't want it. And then a lot of companies are like, oh, I'm sorry, you needed to give us 36 hours notice. And we'll be like, great, you caught it in time. We'll cancel it. So I think, just that point of, if things bug you, don't do that. Don't spread that around. It's a great.
Well, it's part, and Meghan, maybe you find this with the people you work with. We have no excuses. We can't blame it on the board. We can't blame it on headquarters. We can't blame it on someone else. It's just us chickens here. We're running the show. We get to do things the way we want to do them. And if they're not, we're responsible for that. So, here's a tiny thing. We have a St. Patrick's Day collection. I don't know, Amit, how big St. Patrick's Day is in India, but in the US, in certain cities, Boston, New York, Chicago, it's kind of a big deal. So we have this collection. We have a whole bunch of St. Patrick's themed socks. And I'm looking at our collection last night, and in the midst of the St. Patrick's Day socks were beer socks. Nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day, just with beer. And I'm looking at that saying, I know why we did that, but I took them down because that's playing into the stereotype of the drunken Irishman, and I don't want to do that. It may sell, we sell presidential socks. We do a lot of advocacy work, but we don't endorse candidates. People came and said, if you sold Make America Great Again, if we sold Make America Great Again socks, those will sell well. They absolutely would, but we're not carrying that. You gotta know who you are.
Cool, excellent, wonderful, great conversations. Meghan, one question to you. So before FounderMade, what were your focus?
So prior to FounderMade, I had a digital media business that I sold, went to business school. And then after business school, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So after business school, I was working in venture capital, and I was sitting around our weekly meetings, and I was like, I think I need to be operating a company, but what's my company? And I didn't know. I think sometimes people, and sometimes you're like looking to have other people tell you what your mission is. And then really FounderMade started as a dinner series. I said, okay, I'm kind of depressed working as a VC on the other side of the table. I'm just going to start these dinners. And so I said, I'm going to do 12 dinners this year, one a month. And I'm going to have themes, and I'm going to take the people from my first digital business that I knew, that were entrepreneurs that had started companies that all of a sudden their companies became much bigger. So we had like Daniel from Kind Bar. We had, the founder of Squarespace, and they'd speak at these dinners, and I'd bring entrepreneurs, investors, retailers, and these dinners kept getting bigger and bigger. But I'm this person that's like, okay, but so they had a dinner and they networked. What value did they get, right? And so we quickly realized, even after our first investor conference, that brands just wanted distribution and sales. And so how could we be the platform that efficiently created that? And so that's how we did it. We did it with in-person shows. Now we're doing it with our wholesale marketplace and these education events that we do.
Excellent. Wonderful. That's a great idea, Meghan. Thank you for sharing it. Coming to you, Lindsey. So I think you are using WooCommerce, and I think you use MailChimp for your email marketing. Am I right?
Yes.
So in your business, what do you focus on mostly?
Me personally, or
Yes, you personally.
the joy of being a founder, I've done a little bit of everything. So I actually started this business with my sister, which is another unusual thing, but she's the designer and she's the warehouse person. So she picks the product, she does the labels, and then she focuses on making sure everything goes out the door. I did everything else. So customer service, social media, marketing, partnerships, financials, all of that piece. And then we've both slowly added on people as we can, and as it made sense. So as I mentioned, a customer service team, some marketing help, some social media help, obviously a lot of website help. So right now I mostly just make sure everybody's pointed in the same direction and spend a lot of time talking to all the team. And then the fun part is, coming up with the new ideas and what we're going to do next, what we're going to add, how we're going to keep finding people and reaching people. So what do they say? When you get to the certain point, you try and work on your business, not in your business. So I'm transitioning from one to the other right now.
Fabulous, wonderful. So you mentioned about transitioning from working in the business to working on the business. So tell me what exactly that means.
I think it means just exactly kind of what I was saying. As you're growing and as you're new, you're doing it. I mean, you're posting and you're commenting and you're answering questions and you're doing the financials and you're updating the website and packing the boxes and sending them out the door. And then as you get bigger, you bring in people to help you, and then you try and step back and think about where you're going. Do you want to work with Meghan at FOUNDERMADE and get into stores? Do you want to, the dog company, stay in smaller shops, start thinking about those things strategically? Do you want to stay in consumer business or work with wholesalers in general? What are you going to add? How are you going to grow? Does it make sense to your brand? Partnerships, we're looking at, how do we include advocacy in our work after everything that happened last year? How do we make sure that we're diverse, that we're speaking to all the different audiences? We realized that maybe we could do a lot more with plastic pollution and the plastic plants that are in a lot of, low-income communities, and they're bearing the brunt of all of that pollution and air quality control. And that's part of what we're talking about with single-use plastic. So how do we go upstream and stop there as well as downstream and beach cleanups and ocean cleanups? So, on your business is thinking about all of those bigger pictures, which is a lot of fun, but is also hard. I mean, there's something great about packing boxes and, answering 500 emails and being like, look at everything I did today. And it's much more nebulous when you're thinking about things and talking to people, and it's a very different kind of work. And I think it can be very seductive to stay in your business, but on your business is really how you grow.
Absolutely. So coming to you, Mark, since you have been in the business for almost 4-5 years now, do you think putting the business in autopilot, should that be an objective? Should that be a goal for somebody like you who has been in the business for 4-5 years? The business running without Mark and John.
Perhaps for some businesses, but not for ours. I have been evolving my role, that Lindsey spoke about it, of working on the business, not just in the business, but also evolving the role so that we are outward facing and out spreading the word. So my, I'm not fully there yet, but my ultimate job, you want to think about your highest and best use. What can I do for the business that nobody else can do? Well, I like doing data analysis. I can do that pretty well. But it turns out other people can do that too. But what John and I can do is go out and arrange speaking arrangements and go out and meet with people and speak to groups and get on TV. We, in response to the pandemic, where now we can't travel, we can't have people in here. We used to have school tours coming in and work groups. We move things online. And one way we do it is twice a week, we do a Facebook Live show, the Spreading Happiness show. I don't know what people are doing with their lives, but we got a pretty big, a good following there. And every Tuesday afternoon, so this afternoon you can join us, John hosts an online dance party. It's doing things like that, because if all I'm doing is working in here, worrying about our fulfillment, then I'm not doing that. I'm not growing the business. But this evolves over time, and it depends what the nature of your business is, right? I'm an old man, so I've been through lots of different things. I've been in startups that had VC backing, and you started with a certain core, and I was the COO or the operations guy, and someone else is the sales guy, and maybe a marketing guy and business development. The way we started, it sounds like, Lindsey, you did the same, is John and me. And I view it as kind of the Big Bang Theory. You start with this very intense, tiny particle. And then as you grow, you're going to add more. So now we've got our Lord of the Socks. He runs our fulfillment, right? I talk to him about it. I make sure he's doing his job. But I don't want to do his job. If I'm doing his job, then why the hell am I paying him? And then my job becomes actually to work for him, to put him in a position to succeed so he can carry out his mission and go and do what he does. And now we have a product development person. And when we started, I did all of our social media. Now we have a head of social media. And it's really important to add those other people, because what's a fat 62-year-old white middle-class guy going to tell you about TikTok? You've got to have some diversity so that you know how to reach your audience. The job I've had has evolved greatly from the first days when John and I were packaging everything up and driving around and doing home deliveries. So we still do home deliveries. John likes doing home deliveries. It's a good way to stay close to customers. So we ship to 85 different countries, but our warehouse is about 10 miles away from the apartment where we live. If we get an order between there and home, John's knocking on your door.
Excellent, wonderful, great story, Mark. Meghan, you have been working with a lot of businesses. Do you advise them to put their businesses on autopilot? Do you advise them that their business should run without them?
Well, I love what Lindsey said about working in the business versus on the business. And working in the business is it feels good. It feels gratifying to be like, okay, I'm running. So I can do 5 different functions. And most entrepreneurs are really good generalists. They're the visionary, and they're really good generalists from year 1 to 3, right? Where you can do everything. You're kind of growing. You're hitting a certain revenue. In order to scale, and it just takes different people, it takes different operations. You need to see how things you need to figure out how to put it on autopilot. Otherwise you're going to burn out. Like, this is part of a marathon. It's like, or relay race, like a long marathon relay race where you have to pass the baton to different people, or you have to level up and get to be, the CEO and founder for 25 plus years or, 30 plus years, but level up to those and get the right executive team to like really help grow the business. I mean, otherwise you're going to just get burned out, I think. I mean, no one can, especially if you want to have a family and you want to have some type of balance in your life, which I think all entrepreneurs need to figure out how to prioritize a balanced life, because it is the marathon. I think that you do, and ops is a huge one. There's ways of getting your company really, really efficient. And frankly, like hiring really great people that can expand your mission, because you may think like I started off, this was just supposed to be a dinner series. Then all of a sudden we got, a couple people that were like, this is amazing. You guys should be the next consumer electronics show for products. Like, this is what then we brought some trade show people in, then we brought some tech people in. I mean, and so that just keeps expanding our mission. And it's funny, I have a friend in the industry. He runs a huge publicly traded company called LivePerson. It's like one of the best technology stocks and companies. And he's been running his company as CEO and founder for 25 plus years. And I just listened to his earnings call, his last earnings call. And he said, Meghan, he said, at the end, he said, this is finally at year 25. I actually know what our ultimate mission is for this business. Like, I actually can see where I want to take it. I didn't know when I first started. And I'm sitting there and he goes, and, we're on year 5. And he's like, oh, and, we've gotten, a couple acquisition offers, all these interesting things, great things are happening. And he goes, wait, you should wait. Because after year 5, he has this whole graph, and he thinks that like after certain years, certain things happen and reveal themselves in your journey as an entrepreneur running your business. So anyways, look him up, Rob Locascio from LivePerson. He's incredible inspiration. So.
Wonderful. Excellent. So you mentioned about hiring people. I think it's very important to have the right team, Meghan. How do you hire people? What method do you use? What's the secret sauce of hiring great people?
I think that's I think that's very case by case, right? And you go through different phases in what you think you need for hiring, right? So, when you're first starting out, it's like, anyone that actually believes in my mission, that's amazing. Let's get on board. And then as you scale, you realize you need expertise and you need people that have very specific tasks, and you can't overwhelm your team with like being like, you may be a good generalist. Most people aren't a good generalist, right? And most people want to win it at their job. So you bringing on people and then throwing 20 things to do to them, and then like piling it and saying, oh yes, we're all entrepreneurs here, is not going to work, right? It's just not. So I think, the first phase, having those people that are just in it, they have the heart, they believe in what the journey is, they, can help you just build it. That's totally fine. You can have a bunch of generalists. And then when you get to a certain level and you have repeat customers and you're scaling, you need those specific people that have the expertise that have done it before. And sometimes you'll bring in people that have expertise that have done it before, and they're still thinking like inside the box, and it's really hard. It's like the executive level versus the entrepreneur. And I think that kind of sometimes clashes, but you do need people that have the opposite skill set of you. And I also just think energy, like, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to build your life with? Because you're going to spend so much time with these people building your company. You really want to have people that share the same values as you do, and that you really want to that you trust, and just like any relationship.
Excellent, wonderful, makes sense. Coming to you, Lindsey, in an entrepreneurial journey, there are times when you hire senior folks like a CEO or let's say COO, and sometimes a lot of times entrepreneurs and founders pay more salary to them than they take home themselves. What do you say about it? What's your view on it?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's very much to Meghan's point of you realize you need expertise at some point, and it's an expertise that you don't have. And there is just a cost to that. For us, it's web design, and we make our money through our website. And so we need to have really good people making sure it's running, and that it's a constant work in process. We're constantly updating it. We're constantly trying to make it better. And happily, we're getting more and more people. So we have to build in that so that it doesn't crash when a bunch of people come to the site. And so, yeah, I think cumulatively we pay our web guys more than we pay ourselves. I think it's also very important, as I still do all of our books, so I can keep a real handle on that. And we try very hard to sort of increase everybody as we go along, and we keep an eye on everybody's hourly rate, and we want to make sure we're always paying living wages for everybody. So that's important too, is to sort of, keep a look on how it looks globally. I don't think anybody wants to have, a lot of people up here and a lot of people not even in the screen down here. So we also try and sort of keep everybody in a spectrum that makes sense.
Amit, I think there are a bunch of challenges there. One, founders often find themselves where we're not paying ourselves, but we are making sure everybody else gets paid. And this is noble and necessary sometimes. It's also a trap, because you've got to think about your business, and if you're providing services, your business has to be able to pay for that. And if you're not, there's a problem with the business. There's another challenge that happens. As the company grows, as your organization grows, the demands change, and people have to evolve with that business. And there are some folks who are absolutely essential when you start, and they're great to work with, and they do everything. But as the company grows, they're not really ready to grow with the company. And that's a challenge you as the leader, to help them grow and develop, and to help make sure they know that's where they want to be. But it can be challenging. You look at somebody where they're doing 20 different things, and everybody, they know it's too much, and it's too much. So as you grow, you can come and say, what I'm going to do is take some of that and give it to a new person. And they're both relieved and now upset that you're taking something away from them. So it's very tricky to be able to get the right people and to grow. Come here, buddy. You can take the mask off. Come say hello.
Hi.
Got my partner here saying hello.
Hi, John. How are you doing?
As usual, I've been riding your coattails.
Your father is a big fan of yours.
He said, I'm a fan of yours.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you on the show, John.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love being here.
You're working hard?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
He's getting ready because we have we jump into our weekly staff meeting at 10:30 in a few minutes.
Okay, wonderful. So if we're just wrapping up, guys. I think the last round, I only want to ask you, if you guys have a question to a fellow speaker, you can shoot now. If no, it's perfectly fine. You got one?
What I'd like to do is take them out to lunch and have long conversation and sit and listen, because I'm fascinated with both what Lindsey is doing with her products and the view that she has, and also Meghan, because Meghan's kind of outside looking at a lot of businesses, and what works and what doesn't work.
I would agree. I think it's so fun that we've all come from such different places to end up as, founders of companies. Coming from the nonprofit world, it sounds like, Mark, you've got a lot of different business experience, and then Megan coming at it from an entrepreneurial family and the tech world and the VC world. I mean, it's very
Yeah,
fun.
it's
Also a serial entrepreneur, so maybe that is something we have in common too.
yeah, I realize going back to even childhood, I was entrepreneurial, and I didn't have the language for it then, but I've started different businesses. But I get asked, what's your retail background? Um, what's your background in fashion? I'm like, no, I'm new to all this. I come out of a healthcare background. I've run political campaigns. I started a software company. But at the same time, I'm 62 years old, and every day has prepared me for this day, for this moment. When I hitchhiked cross country multiple times back in the 70s when that was a thing, and you'd get in a car and you're now the entertainment, and you might be there for 10 minutes or 10 hours, and you learn how to get along with people. Well, doing that hitchhiking helped me run this business. I didn't think about it then. I was just on adventures and how to get places. But that's what it's like. Megan, you got a degree from Columbia, and I hope you learned a lot there. But there are things that you're bringing to bear that you learned from your friends in high school, or it's.
I totally agree. You learn by doing. I think that there's a lot of theoretical things, and I think that school's great, and it could be. I kind of think that getting your MBA or all these things that these hurdles that you put in front of you because you need to get confidence. I call them confidence builders. But at the end of the day, there's also ways of getting confidence without the education of actually just doing it, going and figuring out what your customer needs and serving your customer over and over and over again. If you're, an entrepreneur or business, or running a business, is the education, is really the education that you need, is because, and even when people say, oh, I raised X amount of money from these fancy VCs or blah, blah, blah. I mean, it depends on your business, but I always think that it's a little bit of a distraction because you can have a bunch of fancy people give you money but that doesn't mean that you've actually figured out your product market fit with your customer, and you're actually creating something that's long-standing where you're getting that retention rate that you need to really build and sustain a business long-term. So, I think you learn, I love that you said that you learned how to schmooze hitchhiking. And, I think that's, I always laugh because I was like, business school didn't teach me anything about sales. And frankly, everything that you do as an entrepreneur, whether you're raising money, whether you're selling yourself to a customer, whether you're trying to hire people, you're selling the whole time. We're selling even on this, talking about our companies on this thing. So, I just think that it's funny because I think you learn by doing, and you do more when you have a mission that's bigger than yourself.
Well, what do you always say, pal? What are the two things?
Gratitude and do for others.
Gratitude and do for others. It's a great business way.
Wonderful, wonderful, excellent. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much. It was such a pleasure talking to all of you. You all are fabulous, fabulous speakers and fabulous givers. Do not shy away from giving away your secret sauce, your recipes, your success mantras. Really, really thankful to all of you. I'm going to send you an email connecting all three of you right now. And I wish you a fabulous week ahead, and take care of yourself.
Thanks, Lindsey and Megan. If we could ever do something for you, let us know.
Thanks, John. It was John, it was great to hear your story. Megan, really nice.
Thank you.
Bye. We love it. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye, guys.